my name's Robyn, and when I was 17, I had just left nursing. I'd been nursing for a little while, and I'd left to go in the army, and I needed to get my tonsils taken out. So I went back into the same hospital that I nursed at Moorlambar, and they tried to give me intravenous anaesthetic, and they tried a few different times, and apparently my veins weren't taking and they were collapsing or something. So they said, well, would you be okay with having a mask and having gas? And I said, yeah, that's fine. I'd had that before with broken bones from sport and stuff. So they put the mask on, I started to breathe, and then the anaesthetist said, oh, hold on a minute. He said, I wasn't prepared for this. I have to fill up the bottle. He didn't have enough to do the whole operation. So he said, talk amongst yourselves. And he went away, and when he came back, put the mask back on. And straight away I realised I couldn't breathe. And I pushed it off and I said, oh no, there's something wrong. And he said, oh no, just breathe. And I said, no, there's something wrong. And every time they put the mask on, I'd push it off again. And I heard one of them say, oh, the poor girl, she's had quite a time of it and now she's lost it, because I'd got more and more frantic. And they just kept trying to push this mask on me. And at one stage I thought, I'll just take a big deep breath and maybe I'll go out to it and they'll leave me alone. But it was like strong solution ammonia. It was like a blowtorch down your nose. And even today, all these years later, I remember how that felt. And I started flailing about. I started my arms, my legs. I was trying to save my life practically. And the girls that were holding me down, because the doctor said, quick, hold her down, hold the legs, they were girls I nursed with. So it was sort of like they were in on it, It worked out that he had turned the anaesthetic back on but hadn't turned the oxygen on with it. So there was no oxygen coming through. And so they literally suffocated me. At one stage, there was a calmness came over me, and I just relaxed. And even though I could feel stuff going on around me, like them holding me down and the pressure of them holding my arms and everything, I just had this calming sort of feeling went over me. And where you hear people say your life flashes before you, that's exactly what happened. I had lots of little flashes of photos in my mind. Kids from school, high school even, kids I didn't even like at high school. There was photos of all sorts of people, parents, family, and it just was like a quick snapshots. And I don't know how long that went on for, but it seemed like only a few moments. And then I remember at some stage I was above my body. I went out of my body. I was up on the ceiling looking down. It took me a few moments, I suppose, or a few seconds to realise who I was looking at. It was like you were looking through a frosted shower screen. It wasn't completely clear, and everything was buzzing. Voices were sort of like they were a little bit further away, and metal on metal, like instruments and things, had like a ding, 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 down a passageway sort of feel to it, like it was echoing down a passageway. So I sort of was fascinated then. I realised it was me, and I remember the conversation that took place. I remember who did what. There was something dropped on the ground at some stage, some sort of instrument, and one of the nurses went to pick it up, and the doctor abused her and said, don't worry about that just now. There's more important things, sort of thing. They eventually used the paddles on me to bring me back because my heart had stopped. But I remembered seeing all of that, hearing it all, knowing the conversation as if it was yesterday, and then next thing I found myself walking or travelling. I don't remember the physical feeling of walking, but I remembered sort of going down like a railway tunnel with a big light at the end. And it was so bright, the lights. It's like when you're, say, confronted with a car with the headlights on, everybody is a silhouette, like a black silhouette. You don't see faces, it's just the bright lights. And this light was so immense at the end of this tunnel or whatever that the people in front of me, I'm on the left and I'm travelling towards the light, and there's another row of people coming back towards me on the right hand side, and you could see the shapes of people, their body type, all that type of thing, but no faces at all. Everything was black, and the light was, there was a feeling of euphoric sort of love. I've never taken drugs or anything, so I hear people talk about euphoric and that high feeling of being high or whatever. This was like a excitement, but a high as far as you couldn't get enough of that light. It was like, whoa, that is amazing. And so I'm heading down and there's a row coming back, and I remembered seeing all the different heights and the shapes of people. And at one particular stage there was this little tiny skinny little body with a huge big head. And I remember thinking, oh, that poor person, it's probably deformed, or it's, you know, there's something wrong with them. And then many years later, because I was only 17 at the time, I remember being at the UFO research group in Brisbane and seeing a drawing somebody had done who had been abducted, and the drawing was the same sort of shape of little arms and legs and this huge big head. And I thought, oh my goodness. And then I thought, well, if there is such a thing, and I fully believe there is, they must pass away at some stage and they must go somewhere, so we must all travel in that same tunnel or black hole or portal, you might call it. So that sort of opened my eyes to, you know, other thoughts and other ideas about it all. But I spoke to one of my girlfriends who ended up being a bridesmaid for me many years later, and while I'd gone back to my room and she come to see me, I remembered saying to her what had happened, and she said, there's no way you could have known that. She said, you were dead then. And the only thing I don't know is how long I'd passed over, but it took them a while to get me back. So she was just flabbergasted because I told her the whole series of events. I told her who said what and what happened, and she was just amazed that I knew everything that happened, although I had well and truly, my heart had stopped and I'd left the place sort of thing. So it was interesting. Yeah.